Now greetings to the world, voice of the one smelly alongside Dogsdie and Yoshifett. Loifimos! F.U. Latinacons. We must make this show, pinch off this show and get this podcast done. Then we will take your ears and make it boom them. All up in your face and just in case those other podcasts run. Dogsdie, Smelly and Yoshi make it boom them. We must make this show, pinch off the show and get this podcast done. Then we will take your ears and make it boom them. All up in your face and just in case those other podcasts run. Dogsdie, Smelly and Yoshi make it boom them. So hey, Yoshi.
Hey.
And everybody.
Everyone.
Yoshi and the rest. Thanks for joining me tonight on our conversation. This is this is Smelly. I thought it was a legitimate mistake. I'm trying to, I wasn't being funny. I'm trying to do what Dogsdie does and doing it really well, actually. But I'm Smelly Pirate and Yoshifett. Who are you?
I am trying to help you steer the remnants of the Boom show to landing like at the beginning of episode 3 when we have half a ship. At least we still have half a ship, Obi-Wan. You're so funny. We should put this out there that this is an episode of the Boom show.
It is. That's exactly. Yeah.
Even though it doesn't really sound like it right now, we're hoping that this is the start of our triumphant comeback.
Yeah.
There is a likelihood that our feelings about this triumphant comeback will last about as long as Scaramucci's career. Timely political joke, but... You know, be it as it may.
I was going to make a joke about how when this episode takes 3 months to release, you're going to really date our show. But like, given the speed with which the mooch was dismissed, it's dated no matter what.
No, it's already dated.
There's nothing we can do.
I love the Washington Post article about the era of the mooch.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know if you saw that. I posted that on our website, and it was just hilarious because so much weird political stuff happened last week. It was like the craziest week.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot considering what we're used to at this point. Anyway, you guys aren't here for the politics.
No. I'm noticing on my Audacity window that there's a thicker bar when I'm not talking than there typically is. So that might mean that when everybody listens back, you're going to hear like a friendly hum or a buzz that I can't hear, but that my microphone might be hearing. So I'm going to apologize for that. But we're going to continue because who cares? It's the Boom. We're not here for audio quality or veracity of information.
Nope.
You're just here for hanging out and having the bros. I'd like to mention one thing, Yoshi, if that's okay.
Of course.
This is our 25th anniversary, essentially, you and I.
Oh, it kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah. Because we're in 2017.
Yeah.
And we met in 90. Did we meet in 92 or 91? 91, wasn't it?
No, because I started high school in 92, and so did you.
No, we graduated in 92.
No, we graduated in 96, yo.
Correct. Good. I'm glad you caught that. We started in 91, 92, and finished in 95, 96.
Wait, hold on. 92, 93, 93, 94, 94, 95, 95, 96. We started in 92.
Perfect. So... 25 years!
That's, to be fair, that's the sort of thing I have to think about in my brain all the time. Like, wait, when did I graduate high school? When did I do, like, I can't recall that information very easily.
Well, I knew when I graduated, but I figured the calendar was wrong.
It's a Mayan calendar.
And it was actually me that was wrong.
It's okay. I mean, I'm wrong a lot.
But that's kind of cool. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, well, I actually, it's funny because as I was putting my daughter to bed right before we started, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast. She's like, really? Because I don't do podcasts anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'm gonna do it with Cameron. And she actually asked me, how long have you known Cameron? And I said, long before you were born. No, I didn't say that. I said, 20 plus years, but I didn't actually say 25. So this is a very special Boom show, we should say. And that is why we did not allow Dogsdie to be on this episode.
Correct. That is exactly how that played out.
That was planned by us. We did not try to get him to come on tonight and beg him, only to be spurned for a later date. We intentionally... That didn't happen.
He actually is actively trying to get on this call, and we're on Facebook tonight, and I unfriended him on Facebook so that he cannot penetrate the boundaries of this call.
I beat you to that one like 2 years ago, but still.
Oh, he sucks on Facebook. It's good.
No, dude, call me on Shaniqua's phone.
So true. I would.
Yeah.
So, just by way of catching up, it's been about, what do you want to say, 7 months since we've released an episode? Longer.
I have no conception.
We can settle this.
I'm sure you could. I don't want to mess with my computer at all, as usual, because I don't want to check things.
Keep talking. I'm gonna go find out.
I'll keep talking. That's my thing. I talk a lot, and I don't really need another host. I could just do a podcast on my own.
Right.
But no one would like it. I would like it.
I have found it. I have found the amount of time it has been.
And?
It has been 10 months since we've released a show.
Yarg. That's pretty good. I'm impressed. 7 is a good guess, I would say, though.
Yeah, so we were clearly not ready to be a show that has released 90 episodes. As early as 10 months ago, we were not ready for that. And now we are. It's just episode 90 of The Boom. Our last episode's title, You'll Be Amused, was Milton Bradley.
I remember that. That was fun.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to be fair to us and unfair to Dave, we have recorded a few episodes since then.
Yeah.
But Dave, I'm going to be honest with everybody, he straight up ghosted me.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to that dude in a year. I tell him I miss him on Facebook, and he posts the gif of Han Solo saying, I know, and it's okay, cool, bro. So, Dave, if you're listening, I legit miss you, and I'm sad because I haven't talked to you in real life. I probably should have done this privately. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have a sterling reputation to uphold as a podcast.
True. We usually keep these things behind closed doors. No one, for example, would ever know that there was any tension between myself and Dogsdie at any time on this show. Unless they were an insider.
Yeah. Discretion is our middle name.
So many leaks.
And we use that thing a lot. No, it's true. We've recorded a couple episodes, and they have gone the way of the dodo. And dodo is extinct, right? After all is said and done, they're gone.
No, 92. I don't know. Yeah, no, the dodos are, somebody's going to bring them back. I've seen Jurassic Park, so I know what's up.
Well, right. Yeah.
Life finds a way, so.
How excited are you? Let's start there. Before we get to words, how excited are you for all of comic book movies everywhere to be revitalized by Jeff Goldblum?
Are you talking about the Ragnarok poster?
Yes. Even in the trailer, he's Goldbloomy. He's all over it.
Honestly, I never thought I would say this, but I'm more excited for that Thor movie than I have been for a Marvel movie in so long. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Every preview has made me happy. Every shot from it has made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
I really think he's a great character for this time period because there are all these superhero movies coming out that we all watch that are very heavy and serious. And even, I know we haven't really talked about this, but I watched Wonder Woman after I'd seen it in the theaters, and then I watched it at home with my wife. And I was a little disappointed that it didn't hold up as well as I thought it was going to.
Really?
And part of it was that it felt really heavy again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking forward to Thor because it's not going to be like this, we're lifting the weight of the world in every scene, okay, that's a little unfair. There's some good humor in Wonder Woman. For a DC movie, it's pretty awesome in that way.
They just can't seem to manage the tone.
No.
DC can't figure out a tone that's really enjoyable. Outside of the Dark Knight trilogy, which requires that tone, which
Zack Snyder had nothing to do with. I think it's exactly. It's like the Snyderverse. He puts this gross sheen on everything, and it's just I don't know what. Oh, I know why. I was watching part of Batman versus Superman the other day on purpose.
Wow.
Because I wanted to watch Batman fight people in that really good scene where he fights people really good, which is the best part of the movie.
Uh-huh.
And then I kind of kept watching, and I was like, nope, I don't need this anymore.
Uh-huh.
Even when you have Jesse Eisenberg acting like a nutter on screen, it doesn't take away from the overall dour mood that his films have. That's just
right.
It's not engaging. It's not dark like Nolan films are and engaging.
Was he a producer on Suicide Squad too?
I believe so, yes.
Because that movie even was their greatest attempt at sort of campy humor. I don't know if campy is right, but at a more humorous sort of Guardians of the Galaxy sort of take. And Even that, too dark. Even with Harley Quinn just stealing every scene and being, like, legitimately awesome, I thought it's still just a really heavy movie.
But yeah, she's way the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
But that movie totally is one of those ones that felt like they just dropped a bunch of like Lego bricks on the ground and just kind of assembled something and was like, here's a movie.
Right.
You know, it didn't feel coherent or like they had a purpose for making it, so to speak. So
yeah.
Okay, we've bashed DC for like 5 minutes.
Okay, that's good. That's fair.
Okay, we're good.
Do you have a word to sort of start us out?
Yeah, let's go with a obscure one here.
Okay.
A little on the edges, on the of Valerian and 1,000 Planets. Cromulent is our word of the day. Week. Month. Cromulent.
It sounds like an exotic cuisine from the original Star Trek movies.
Thin little pancakes? Yeah, it does sound like Romulans or something. Cromulent.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Cromulent. It definitely sounds like an adjective to me.
Cromulent salad dressing or something. But that's not what it is, right?
No, it's not that. You would never use it to describe salad dressing.
Mom, I don't like ranch on this kind of salad. It's a perfectly cromulent salad dressing, honey.
Wait, you used it correctly. All right, fine.
Yeah, I cheated. This is a word that I know, but I'm a huge fan of it being used on our show.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, that's right. Listen to the end, friends.
Plenty more DC bashing on the... No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that.
I've got a little thug speak. This is actually to be used in many different ways, but the word is boo-boo.
Aw.
And I had asked you about boo-boo, and you directed me to the correct song with which Kendrick Lamar or K-Dot punctuates his one of his songs so readily. But what do you feel like the context of boo-boo in Kendrick's, what is it, which was it on? Hood
Politics.
Politics, yeah.
I would say it's like kind of how millennials say stuff is garbage. Like that's their go-to phrase, you know, or trash.
Or trash. How Cameron Lim calls the Warriors trash. Yeah.
No. Well, yeah. Nathan Herbert too.
Oh, he does too. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's not a fan of my Warriors fandom either.
I've always liked that Nathan Herbert.
Dude, he's such a rad guy. You would love him. Anyway, boo boo. I think it just means like it sucks, basically.
Yeah.
Because he like lists off things and he's like it's boo boo. Like all that stuff is boo boo. It's like the opposite of A1. To use one of his other terms. Because A1's like, yes, that's awesome. So Boo Boo and A1s, I think, are like on opposite ends of the Kendrick spectrum.
Yeah, I think that's right. Boo Boo can also be used as a term of endearment for a significant other.
Isn't that usually just boo?
Yeah, but it can be doubled up.
Oh, well, I mean, you can usually double things up, you know?
Hey, Boo Boo, I missed you. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that in the wild.
Like tight.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. People say that all the time. It's tight.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're what's the guy's name on Breaking Bad who go tight?
Oh, like Badger?
He was the villain on the first 2 seasons. Tuco,
yeah.
Remember Tuco? He would like take a rip of the meth or whatever, and then he'd go like tight, bro.
Yeah, that's right, dude. I love Tuco so much, and he's so freaking great in Better Call Saul.
Dude, Better Call Saul. Speaking of transitions, we both just finished season 3, I think, right?
2.
Is that just 2?
Is there a 3? I haven't seen 3.
Serious? I thought I was watching the 3rd season. I'm so confused.
It ends with an episode called Click. That the last moment of the episode is literally a click. Is that the one that you ended?
So that was season 2. All right. I was under the impression I was watching season 3 that whole time. That tells you a lot about me.
Well, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing a full season.
Just like you were adding a full year to our high school experience earlier.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, that show, man, I just... You know, Vince Gilligan, he's one of those dudes that you can put in the pantheon now for me of like, yeah, you've proven to me that you know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
What else has he done aside from these 2? Didn't he write on X-Files for a little bit?
I think you're right about that, but I kind of don't care because if these are the only 2 things he's ever done, he's already like amazing. It's kind of like, to go back to Kendrick, when he just had Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly, that was enough to enshrine him already, you know? Like,
yeah.
And that's not just me talking. That's like the rap establishment, like the old school guys,
right?
Critics, rap fans, etc.
Right.
Like, it was like known that he was the man at that point. And like, not that Vince Gilligan is like the Kendrick of TV or something. That doesn't make sense. But I put him in similar regard to someone like Nolan, where I'll just go see his movie because it's Nolan.
Exactly what I was thinking. I will see it no matter what. I think that just to give you a little glimpse into my personal psychology, if I were Kendrick Lamar or if I were Vince Gilligan and the first two things I did were so unbelievably epic, I would probably never release anything else again. I would be terrified to compare to the things that I did that were great. Two
things that I have to say about that. That's a really, really good point. One is that was like Harper Lee's thing after she put out To Kill a Mockingbird. She was like petrified of doing anything else, is the story, essentially.
And then she did.
She didn't, though. She's incapacitated. Her lawyers basically put out that book, and she had no intention of ever... Okay. She's not in her faculties anymore, sadly.
But she wrote it back in the day?
Yeah, but it was really a draft of what became To Kill a Mockingbird, and they took a bunch of stuff and they cobbled it together and ruined everything.
Oh, that's crazy. I want to read both of those things.
The other thing is that it kind of reminds me of Radiohead and how Tom York felt after OK Computer, and how the whole band felt when they talked about that album, was that how do we follow this up?
Yeah.
Because before they even released Kid A or even really just started working on it, that album was already being hailed as the best album of all time and making lists above Sgt. Pepper's.
Right.
So it's like, what do you do? Like, especially if you're like a British rock star, you're like, what?
Right.
So a lot of the angst that's on Kid A is palpable because he was scared to death that they were just going to faceplant.
Right.
Which, of course, is not the truth. They've had a long and illustrious career and all that. But
Cromulent.
I totally agree with you. It's a totally Cromulous, far above Cromulent. But to your point, I totally agree. It's really like, it's a hard thing when you come out of the gates going hard. Back to Zack Snyder. It's like the first thing I knew about Zack Snyder was 300. I was like, this is really cool and different.
Yeah.
And then he just sucks. Everything else sucks. So
right.
And when I rewatched parts of 300, I was like, oh yeah, this is a same kind of thing. I just didn't know it sucked back then.
Yeah.
Like, it retroactively is worse now that I know what his output is. So that's what you'd be afraid of if you're the kind of person who like busts onto the scene like that.
Well, this is interesting because we're going to learn after I say this next thing, ways in which I'm similar to Dr. Dre and ways in which I'm very different from Dr. Dre.
Oh, this is a conversation I've always wanted to have with you.
Finally, 198 episodes into our podcast, we're finally having this. Because Dre, we learned from watching the documentary that we would like to assign as homework for all listeners, all 12 of you who are still listening now.
Can we call it something nicer than homework, so it sounds fun?
Oh, yeah.
Can we call it, like, do sex or something?
Yeah, we're going to...
This is a thing you guys need to do sex over the...
We would like for you to do sex to The Defiant Ones on HBO. And we should say, do sex is... That's a shout out to Dogsdie. Am I wrong?
Dogsdie.
Yeah.
He was hitting on an elementary school girl. Well, hold on. He was in elementary school at the time, too, I think.
Let's clarify, yeah.
He wrote a note, I think, saying, would you like to do sex with me? Circle yes or no, or something like that?
Correct.
Is that how the story goes?
I think he said, I want to do sex to you. And pretty sure they got married. I don't know. I'm not sure how it played out, but... It's very possible.
Well, I mean, it's how you talk about sex once you are married, so that he was ahead of the game, really.
Yeah, right. I want to find a way to say, the fact that you're still calling it that means that you're not ready. That's one of my favorite ongoing jokes. So, The Defiant Ones is a 4-part documentary on HBO about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, and really, everybody, go do sex to this documentary because it is
it's so hard.
It's one of the best 4 hours of entertainment I've experienced, I think.
I totally agree, but I also wonder if you have to be of a certain age to really love it the way we did, because like my wife and I totally loved it, but it's because the music.
Right.
I mean, it's great anyway, but I think we get a little extra kick out of it, kind of like Straight Outta Compton, the movie.
Right,
it's like that movie's not nearly as good for someone who's not an NWA fan, or didn't like their crew.
Yeah, I agree. But I also feel like if there were a documentary like this about
George Martin and Paul McCartney or something. You know, I mean, like two divergent people who came together at some point in their career and collaborated in a big way that was way before our time. If it were as produced as well as this, I think it would be pretty darn compelling. Maybe not as compelling because I wasn't like dialed into the music in high school, but I don't know. I've encouraged, I think 5 people to watch this, and I'm 5 for 5 on that recommendation.
Nice.
Everybody texts back and says, "Holy crap, that was amazing. I loved every minute."
You're the Jimmy Iovine of promoting this documentary. I think that's really the more interesting part anyways. I think he's more interesting than Dre.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dre's interesting, no doubt, and it definitely comes off in this movie in a way that I had never really thought about before. And, you know, it's one of those things where you feel like I did anyways. I felt like I pretty much knew the whole story.
Right.
But I didn't. Of course, there were more ins and outs that I didn't really know about.
So tell me one thing that you liked to learn about Dre.
It's related to Dre. It's not Dre. It's DOC.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about the DOC crash and how he felt like he was on the precipice of being a star, and everyone around him was kind of like, "Yeah, you got it, man. You're next man up." And then all gone, his voice gone. And it's so heartbreaking. That part really got me.
Yeah.
Because I've heard Dre shout out DOC so many times in his songs.
Right.
But I never really understood the full weight of it until I saw that documentary. I was like, oh, man, I get it now. Like, you carry this guy's torch for him, basically. Like, it's pretty cool.
Right.
But it's also sad.
Yep. I agree.
I liked learning that.
In a similar vein, watching Dre unable to talk about his brother and his brother's death was a pretty poignant moment of the documentary where he just kind of got silent and said, I'm not ready to talk about that right now.
And his brother died like before we met in high school, I think.
Yeah, he did. He died like when they were one of their earliest tours with NWA, I think, is when his brother died.
It was like the late 80s or early 90s or something. Late 80s, I think. It's been
30 years probably, or almost 30 years, and he still is broken up about it and not having an easy time talking about it.
You could tell he wasn't acting there either. Like that was legit deep existential sadness that there's like no way to deal with. Like that was affecting too.
Yeah, I agree. My other favorite, like just there was a moment that they didn't even really highlight, but at one point there's a shot of him playing piano.
Oh yeah.
While some narration is going on. And I'm like, holy crap, Dre's like a classically trained pianist. And he's playing really beautiful, like soothing classical music on this piano. And it, the thought occurred to me, I thought, any like big time producer is going to know music, is going to know chords and is going to know some music theory, but he can like perform.
He can play.
Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing is like that. This leads me to one of my other favorite moments. It's early in the documentary when he's listening to that Nirvana song, like "Stay Away," I think it's called.
Right. And
he's just totally rocking out to it, and he says that Nirvana's his favorite all-time rock band.
Right.
And like that's a weird that's a weird position to have.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, for anyone. But like for Dr. Dre, it almost like makes sense to me because of his obsession with quality and how like it's pretty much universally regarded that the 2 main albums that they released were great.
Right.
And Cobain didn't put out any crap that would like appeal to him,
Yeah. So that brings me back to the point that started me thinking about the Defiant Ones is that Dre is similar in that he never wanted to put out anything that was anywhere subpar for him. And so putting out The Chronic, he was like intensely anxious about it. And when he shopped it around to studios to try to get it distributed, he was shopping around the final version. I mean, he didn't want to take anything choppy or unfinished.
Right.
And he polished it all up himself, and which is just super impressive. Given that he was like a DJ and a rapper at that point. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of like mixing engineering stuff, but he just kind of did that all himself.
I think he got a lot of like hands-on practice though in NWA and just like growing up like so fixated on music as he was, it kind of makes sense. Like you could tell watching that movie that like he hears music in a way that you need to hear music if you're a producer, which is probably why him and Iovine get along so well because they both have that kind kind of like natural, because that's how Iovine was too, right? He was just like thrust into it, like, here, produce John Lennon, like.
Yeah,
you know,
that was incredible.
Anyway, sorry. Go on with your point. I interrupted you.
No, yeah. So then he waits like, what was it, till 2001. So almost 10 years that he waited before he released the next album. And then after that, he did Been There, Done That, but none of us want to think about that. And his next album was
Compton
in like 2015. And whatever anybody thinks about it, he's a perfectionist at heart, but it's not just perfectionism. It's kind of, it seemed like there was a certain level of anxiety and insecurity about putting out an inferior product.
Yeah, it was kind of beautiful, honestly. Like his dedication to great music.
Yeah, I agree. And both of them. I mean, Iovine makes me feel, and I'm a pretty hardworking human now in my life, but he makes me feel like a complete sloth. Just watching him do what he does and continue to do what he does, even though he's like retired or whatever. Like he never ever stops.
Well, I mean, you never dated Stevie Nicks either, so you know. You know, I think he probably makes everybody feel that way, right? You know, like all the stories were about how freaking tenacious he was and how like he just would not give up on stuff, and how smart he was to like get Bruce Springsteen to give him that song for Patti Smith so she could sing it, because he knew that like if a woman sang that song, it would be perfect. All the guys would want to hear that, you know?
Right.
The Night is for Lovers or whatever that song's called. I can't remember right now. Because the Night, that's what it's called.
That song that we all thought was a 10,000 Maniacs song.
That's so funny. I'm watching that with Sarah. She's like, wait, why do I know this song? And she's like, wait a second. This was on MTV Unplugged.
Yeah, that was like the greatest Unplugged song ever.
Yeah, yeah, it was really well done. At least my 8th grade brain thought it was well done, or whenever that came out.
I thought it was. Yeah, when we were like moderately attracted to Natalie Merchant, that was a good time.
Oh yeah. I was in 8th grade. I was moderately attracted to every girl.
She was, yeah.
At least she was cute.
Yeah, you'd hold her hand.
I want to hold her hand when I'm in 8th grade. I don't know. It is. You're right though. It's like the only thing the caveat I would say is I think the first 3.5 parts are brilliant, and like the end kind of turns into a Beats by Dre commercial, and it's like,
oh right.
I didn't love that part of it. Not enough to make me say like, oh, skip the end or whatever, but
yeah, it
did get a little self-congratulatory, and to use one of Iovine's own phrases, it was a little bit of them inhaling their own exhaust, which is my new favorite phrase, which by the way totally applies to Chuck on Better Call Saul.
Yes.
Although he's so complex, I mean, we could probably talk about him for an hour.
Well, he is, because he's not a villain.
Meh.
To the extent that Jimmy is the hero or the protagonist, I guess he's his foil, but it's hard to say that either one of them is necessarily in the wrong.
Well, I don't know if it's about being right or wrong. It's just he's drastically unlikable. I've known a lot of people like him in real life. I've worked with them, and he reminds me of all the worst people I've ever worked with. His utter condescension, his steadfast desire for Jimmy to be in his shadow at all times.
Yeah.
And to pretend like he's doing him a favor and to play the victim card and to do all these things. I mean, obviously his mental illness complicates everything, but still, he's a person no one in their right mind would want to be around. That kind of person, you know? Yeah,
this is interesting. It's interesting how we have different conceptions of him.
He's so horrible. Like he talks down to everyone. He's like beyond arrogant. He's even though that's just to cover up for his own insecurities, he carries himself in this way like he's the best and he's never done anything wrong, and his don't stink, you know what I mean? Like, he's so grating as a person. Like, I hate him.
Yeah, I don't hate him. I don't hate him at all.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, you are a therapist, so.
Yeah, I think that's a major part of it, is that, like, I see the mental illness, and it automatically sort of mitigates any rancor that I would hold against him. But I feel like he knows when he's saying something condescending, and he tries not to be condescending about it. Like when he's sending, what's the dude's name? Ernie? Off to get groceries for him or something? Or when Ernie shows up, is it Ernie?
I don't know. I can't remember which part you're talking about, but I might have been watching season 2.
The black guy who kind of is his page from
helps him out,
from the law firm. Yeah. So he brings him groceries and he's like grateful, but he's like, oh, but I was supposed to have this thing. And he's like, I know it's a small thing.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the douche part of him.
And you see that as condescending, and I see it as he's making this request because it's motivated by his sort of like OCD,
his neuroses, I totally
and delusions,
agree.
Yeah. But when he conveys it, it feels like he's actively trying not to be a jerk about it.
Oh, I feel the exact opposite. I feel like he does this little like passive aggressive thing where it's like he tries to make it seem like he's not trying to be condescending, which makes it even worse in my mind.
Yeah, well, see, this is not surprising at all that you and I see it differently because I'm almost pathologically naive and trusting of people and positive.
And I'm almost pathologically untrusting and critical of people, so...
I wouldn't go that far, but we're certainly two sides of that coin, I think.
Interesting.
That's good.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I wonder what the general public, how they view him, you know, in terms of a character,
Yeah.
people who watch it, whether they... Because, like, I mean, I'm sympathetic toward him at some points.
Yeah.
But he tries so hard to make his brother's life hell, and his brother mainly has done everything he can to help him, you know, and he can't see any of that.
I don't know how hard he's trying to make his life hell.
Dude, he tried to get him to lose his law degree. Like, he tried to take away his whole life because he doesn't want him to be a lawyer. Like, as he said, he never thought Jimmy should be a lawyer.
Okay, you're right. That petty thing where he's like, you should just be able to swoop in with a fake law degree. And did he actually say that, or did Jimmy say that? Did he say, I don't want you to be able to just like mail in a certificate and get a law degree and accomplish everything that I've worked so hard for? Did he say that?
Yeah, he something to that effect. But basically, he's like,
yeah.
I want to destroy my brother's life. Like, that's what I see happening on that show. That's what I saw in this entire season. Was just
interesting.
He was like, he can't accept his problems or bow out gracefully, so he sues his own company. Even as, like, I have more sympathy for Hamlin, and I hate Hamlin.
Yeah.
But Hamlin was trying to help him do the right thing, and he was like, no, I'm going to sue you, my own company. I don't know. I think this guy's a jerk, but I also think that our listeners probably are not that interested in Better Call Saul.
Well, do you know if Vince Gilligan, they're probably not, so we should stop, but do you know if he did a podcast on this like he did on Breaking Bad?
I don't know. Well, I'm going to look into it now, though, because I'm really curious to see about, like, how other people perceive Chuck.
I want to know that, and I also want to know how they intended him. Like, how does he perceive Chuck?
Yeah.
How did they write him? Because it's clear that you're not supposed to. No one's the villain, you know, with the exception of like Tuco and all the drug dealers. But really, I mean, they're all meant to be ambiguously ambivalent characters.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting is how they're doing such a beautiful job of fleshing out Mike's backstory, so you like Mike even better. It's not one of those prequels where it ruins the character that you love. Like, yeah. I get Mike even more now, and like, I can't imagine what it would be like to watch Breaking Bad knowing what we know about Mike at this point. It's just, and really, like, his performance, I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's Jonathan Banks is so good on that show. And by the way, I think that Michael McKean is amazing on that show because I love Michael McKean generally, and he has made me hate him to death. It's a brilliant performance.
Yeah, he's very good.
Anyway, yeah, but this is a conversation we should table for later and have more of it, because I don't know how much of this podcast should be about
no, that's
Chuck.
True. That's very true. That's very true. Should we talk about video games for a half a minute, and then we'll go to the NBA?
Yeah, I have a few video game things, and you probably do too.
Yeah, why don't you start? Because I've led a couple things. What do you got?
I finally got into Rocket League, which I know is like classic me being way behind the times. And to my delight and surprise, it is now like my daughter's favorite game to play with me.
Oh, it's awesome.
And it's a genuinely enjoyable game for me to play. And that game's just super fun. I don't really have a lot to say about it except for it's fun. And like, when I asked her, hey, you want to play some Rocket League before bed tonight? She like almost jumped out of her shoes, to say yes. She just jumped over. She loves all the little decals and crap you can win, but really what she loves is the Rocket League part of it, the actual playing of the game.
Right.
And I didn't guess that.
Do you guys play online together? Can you do that?
We haven't done that yet. We're afraid. We're just playing the computer right now.
I mean, are you able to? Can you play split screen online?
I think you can. I think all you have to do is like be a guest. Like I think it's like my name is Yoshifett, and then Yoshifett guest 1 goes on. That, at least that's how I used to play Left 4 Dead split screen on the Xbox 360, and I'm assuming
So
nothing has changed in those 10 years or whatever. That one's great. We are like halfway through our 3rd playthrough of Breath of the Wild, this time with like the expansion pack stuff.
Wow.
Which is like a little green line that tells you where you've gone in the game, which is oddly satisfying to click on all the time and go like, I haven't been in that part of the game yet. It's a pretty cool extra gear. Like you can grab Majora's Mask, the night gear from the Phantom Hourglass that night. You can dress like him. You can get Tingle's clothes.
I love that night. Phantom
you can
Hourglass.
get Midna's helmet. I have kind of gone on like a little amiibo buying binge. I bought a Guardian amiibo and a Link amiibo from Twilight Princess and another Zelda amiibo. It's like every day we play the game, we pull out those amiibos and all these treasure chests drop from the sky. And
that's how that works.
Yeah, but you can only use them once a day, but it's great. That's how you get all like the clothes, so you can dress like your Link from Wind Waker or from Twilight Princess. But the first time we plopped the horse amiibo down on there, Epona fell out of the sky. Like the real Epona.
Oh, nice.
Because you can get Epona or you can get a horse and name it Epona in the game.
Right.
But in this one, Epona drops out of the sky, is like got full stats and everything, and you take it to register it, and whoever you register it with at the stable's like, whoa, isn't that like Epona, the horse, the best horse? You can't rename it. Do you want to rename it? I guess you can, but don't rename it. And so we didn't rename it. So that's a lot of fun. It's fun to see my daughter taking on things that she wouldn't have in the first couple playthroughs. And
nice.
Also how she's like insanely obsessed with the dragons in that game. And that's all she really wants to do is find the dragons and float up and collect their scales and things like that. But anyway, so I've been doing that, and I think that's... I don't know. I played through a lot of, I don't know what reason, Fallout New Vegas this summer. I'm going to play a big game that I played before, but now summer's over, so whatevs.
Yeah, you're screwed now, almost.
Yeah, now I can't play it anymore. But, and last thing, I have an 8-year-old daughter obsessed with Portal and Portal 2, and I don't really know what to say or think about that. I sent you a picture of her when she cut out a bunch of paper and made her own, portal gun and her own GLaDOS, and she put little pieces of paper on her ankles to be like the braces that break Shell's fall. She wants to be Shell for Halloween now.
Oh, man.
Her room is decorated with a bunch of Portal stuff. She's trying to beat Portal 1 on her own, and I'm trying not to give her any hints. She's like on the 18th chamber or something, so she's getting pretty close. And she's playing through Portal 2, and she laughs at jokes, and I don't think she even really knows why they're funny, but she thinks the way they say them is funny.
Yeah.
Because Wheatley in the second one, he says things that I don't think she really gets why they're funny, but she just likes the way he says it. Like when he starts saying good things about humans, he's like, humanity, very, very great. Love humanity. Folklore, very colorful. She loves that part. And I don't think she really understands why that's funny. So,
yeah, right.
Anyway, that's my thing. And that has been a little bridge towards me going back and listening to a lot of Jonathan Colton lately. And realizing that the final song, Want You Gone from Portal 2 is really good.
It's so good.
But that I didn't appreciate it at the time because I was like, well, this isn't still alive, so whatever. But now that I'm listening to it, it's really, really good. So anyway, that's my video game.
Did you take my advice and listen to the 1st of May?
No, but I saw it on my iTunes thing and saw, isn't that the song Cameron wants me to listen to?
It is, and you haven't. Okay, that's fine. I won't say anything else about it. It's a good one.
No, you should talk about that thing about your graphs you were trying to make.
Oh, yeah. I'll get to that. First, I want to. I'll segue from yours because my son walked in about 3 hours ago and said, "Dad, guess what I played today for like 4 hours at my friend's house?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Portal 2." And I'm like, really? What'd you think? He's like, I love it, and I totally want to play it with you. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. I want to do that with my boy. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Portal 2 soon.
The synchronicity. Are you guys?
I know it's happening.
Are you guys gonna do the co-op, or are you gonna do the one player and like help each other through it or whatever?
I think we'll do the co-op probably. I bet we'll play through it together.
I want to do the co-op where you're like the two different robots and the puzzles to solve, but I don't think she's ready for that yet. Yeah. So
I want to do that. And he's watched me play Portal a little bit in the past, a long time ago, but I'll get him to run through the original Portal too, because that's just one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, it's such a great little condensed experience.
Yeah, it is.
And the character of GLaDOS is way more interesting and endearing when you realize that she can be appealing to little kids. Like, I didn't think about that at all. But I don't know if my daughter's crazy or what, but she thinks it's hilarious how often she threatens to kill Shell. Or like how she plays the prank on her that her parents are going to show up and then there's nothing there. She just thinks that's great. I think I'm raising a psychopath or a sociopath or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's
a risk I'm willing to take.
That's right. So that's that. I also have recently started playing Rocket League. I've played it some on my PC. I don't know. I got it probably 4 months ago and played it a little bit, but I came into an Xbox One within the last month, and then they had a deal on Rocket League, so I picked it up so I can play it on the big 112-inch screen in my basement, and it is fun. And I love that I can go down there. Like, I'll go down there with an eye to working out and watching an episode of Better Call Saul, and I'll turn that on and play like 2 rounds online. It takes 5 minutes apiece.
Yep.
And then I can duck out, earn some points, maybe earn some swag, and then turn on my show and do my exercise. And it's pretty great that you can do that in those little nuggets.
Agreed.
I love Rocket League. I'm not good at Rocket League.
Nope.
I've scored 1 goal online, of which I'm very proud. I will occasionally center the ball. Get points for centering it.
Get the centering points. Oh, yeah.
I've gotten a couple assists here and there, but really there's a lot of me like trying to aim up a shot on a ball that's careening off the wall and like undershooting it pretty much every time.
It's so hard. Like, I go either over or under the ball so often when I try to time my jump. I had one today where it was like a perfect deflection off the side and I jumped in and knocked it in, and it was like, it was kind of one of those things like I never thought it would actually work, so like I almost jumped up when it happened. I was like, oh, you see that? And right. PJ's going nuts, and she's like, oh, because we're playing novice against the computer, so we score all the time, but
yeah, right.
But oh my gosh, it's fun because it's hard to control, if that's makes sense. Like, yeah. I like that I'm bad at it because I feel like, oh, I got slightly better on that round or whatever. Like, it feels like something where, those little 5-10 minute sessions will add up and you'll start like making some good shots and stuff.
Yeah, it feels like the world is in balance because we're as bad as we are. We should be this bad.
Yeah, like when I tried to play some multiplayer Destiny today and my KD ratio was like 0.3 and I was like, jeez, I'm so bad.
Back to earth with you.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, so I wanted to put forward a formula for any of our listeners that are middle-aged, married, don't have a whole lot of discretionary income, and you'd like to get yourself an Xbox One. This is how you do it. This is the formula, and I figured it out. Unwittingly, I didn't do this on purpose, but this is, in hindsight, this is how you would do it.
Crack that code.
Number 1, have old machines. So I have a PS3, I have an Xbox 360, and those have been downstairs hooked up, and use the PS3 as your Blu-ray player primarily downstairs.
Right.
Step 2, use only really low quality budget HDMI cables. Okay.
Aren't they all fairly cheap at this point, anywho?
No, I mean, you can go out and spend, Beats by Dre money on a monster cable or something.
Okay.
And spend $30 or $40, and some people do that. But I've been ordering $3 cables online since the cables were available.
Oh, gotcha. You're talking about real savings.
Oh yeah, super Dogsdie grifting savings. Where like they're paying us to buy the cables. So. Use really low quality and budget HDMI cables, and then what will happen after time is that the HDMI cables will give out.
Just replace those.
That's the thing. You could do that, or even maybe it would be prudent to test whether it's the cable that went out, Or when your wife is on vacation, you could say, well, crap, our PS3's dead. So we have to get a new Blu-ray player. And it doesn't make any... Now, and this is totally innocent. Like, I did not do this on purpose. But I found on Facebook, on the little Facebook marketplace, I found somebody selling an Xbox One for $120 with 2 controllers and Battlefield 1 and Star Wars Battlefront. So I'm like, yeah... I told the wife, we need a Blu-ray player. It's going to cost me probably $80 to buy just a standalone Blu-ray player, or I can get an Xbox One. She's like, well, yeah, you got to get the Xbox One. So now I have it. And then I can, covertly buy little cheap games on the sly every so often so that I can build up my library.
Wife hack. You just gave him a wife hack right there. That's good.
Totally did. So, then I plugged it into the same HDMI cable, not knowing, or this is what you would do. Plug it into the same HDMI cable, and then your Xbox One starts acting strange. And it's like, oh, I can hear it, but I can't see anything on the screen. This is not good. So you start, at that point, step 5 is you start troubleshooting online. What's going on? What's the problem? Step 6, plug in a new HDMI cable and discover that everything's great. So step 7 is, this is the last step, I promise, move the PS3 to another TV with a new HDMI cable and realize, totally innocently, that your PS3 still works. And so now you get to play all your PS3 games as well as your new Xbox One games, and everything's great, and your wife still loves you and is willing to sleep with you.
I see why you are so sympathetic towards Chuck and think that he's doing all these things innocently.
It's very innocent. I had no idea.
That's a great plan. And to piggyback on that, I was freaking the F out because my Xbox One wasn't working and it was just the HDMI cable, which I also stole from my PS3 in the other room, which I also mainly use as a Blu-ray player. But now we don't use it all because we have one of them, their Fire Sticks that lets you watch whatever you want whenever you watch it, even if it's not yet ready to be watched. I think I just admitted committing a federal crime or something, but it's fine.
Yeah. Yoshi and his wife are downloading Cars every night, essentially.
Cars? The movie? We watch Cars every night. We love Lightning McQueen. He's our favorite.
Not that Cars. You know the old anti-piracy commercial where
you wouldn't download a car.
Car. Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean... It's a
perfectly cromulent equivalency.
It's bad. I mean, I'm not saying what we do is good or right, but I don't have any moral compass, so whatever.
Well, that's not true. We know that that's not true.
I don't have an official moral compass. Fine. I don't have a moral compass
definable
attached to any sort of documents. We'll put it that way.
That's good. Okay, so we have...
basketball.
I don't know. We have basketball.
We love basketball.
We love basketball. If you're not interested in the NBA, here's a little false ending. The BigRedBarel boom!
Yeah, but really, you guys want to listen to us talk about stuff, right? So even if it's basketball and you don't know anything, it doesn't matter. You still want to hear this, I think.
It's true.
Maybe? I don't know.
It's true. Okay, let's go through the top 4 things that have happened in this off season.
All right.
You go. Do one. In no particular order.
Okay, Paul George to Oklahoma. Does that count? Would that be in the top 4?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's a huge move. I'm personally happy as a Lakers fan that he didn't go to the Lakers.
Well, he's gonna go to the Lakers next year, though. So are you gonna be happy with that?
Yeah, but he needs to go when he's ready to sign a longer contract. I'm fine with that. But
with LeBron, you mean?
I don't need to be Dwight Howard it again. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I'm just basically praying that LeBron goes to the Lakers, so I will have a defensible out for rooting for the Warriors over the Lakers when they inevitably meet in the playoffs in a few years.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe that's what would happen.
Oh, that's easily what would happen. Are you kidding me?
Your hatred for LeBron trumps your love for the purple and gold.
Yeah. Well, no, not exactly. It's not like a...
No, that's exactly.
No, it's not either or.
It's simple math.
Here's the part you got to factor in. I mean, I know you're already factoring this in anyways, is my love for the current Warriors team. So it's not the same. Like, I've been struggling with this because I didn't...
As you should.
Well, that's fine. Like, okay, so the charge of me being a front runner is weird because if that were true, why did I not just start rooting for the Giants when they started winning World Series and abandon the Dodgers? I don't even like the Dodgers, or I didn't like the Dodgers as much as I liked the Lakers. Like, the Lakers were more part of my life, but I was able to dip out from them. So that's my first point about that. My second point is that, like, the NBA, more than any other sport, is based on the people on the team. And it's like, if I like the people on the team, I'm going to like the team. Like, I like the Blazers. Like, I don't really like the Blazers in, like, a grand sense of it, but I like CJ McCollum and I like Damian Lillard. So I like the Blazers. I like watching them play.
Huh.
If they were to win a series against, you know, the Rockets, I would be like, heck yeah. Because I don't like the Rockets. I don't like James Harden. I don't like the way their team is constructed. I don't like watching him shoot 27 free throws in a game.
So this only applies to basketball?
I feel like it does, because in basketball, there are fewer players. You see their faces, their personalities are more important to, like, how you feel about it, about the games, at least in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Whereas, like, with football and baseball, like, dude, why am I still rolling with the Dolphins all these years later, you know? Like, why didn't I jump on some team like the Falcons last year who scored like 1 billion points? Or why didn't I jump on the 49ers when they were really good? Or even Oakland right now?
I think because in sports, there's some intrinsic value in team loyalty. Like, and I feel like across the board, fans feel that way, don't they? I mean, isn't that like the most pure thing about sports is that you have a team that you love?
You root for the jersey and not the player or something?
Yeah, it's on some level, I guess.
I don't know. Like, it's weird that I'm in a position, or I have been in a position for a while, where I have to defend myself against the notion that I shouldn't root for a team just because it wasn't the team that my dad told me that I was supposed to like when I was a little kid. That's the part where I'm like, and you can call me a fair weather fan or whatever, but I have to just accept that label because it's true. But I like the Warriors.
So you're like a fun weather fan. If the Lakers were fun to watch, you'd still be a huge Laker homer.
I still like the Lakers. It's just they're not on TV very much. And when they are, like I said, like you're saying, they're not very much fun to watch.
No, and no, I think in your defense, and I hate to defend you on this.
I know, because you think I'm the worst for this. This is like the worst thing I've ever done to you.
It is.
Really, it is. It's like the biggest betrayal of our friendship.
Oh man, I got a letter. No, anyway. So you're in defense of you and your.
Why would you defend my Steph love?
You live in the area, like. Number one, the Warriors were never a threat to the Lakers in any sense.
Yes.
So it's not like you've moved to Boston and you've jumped on the Boston bandwagon. Like, that would be less easy to forgive than this.
Yeah.
Number two, you live in the area. Like, I'm permitted to root for the Falcons, even though I don't really care about the NFL at all. But when the Falcons go to the Super Bowl, I get to wear a Falcons jersey and be happy. Or I enjoy the Hawks when they're they had a nice run at some point in the last 2 years, and it was fun to be a part of that run.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
So you're given some leeway because you live in the region of that team. And congratulations, you live in a good region right now for being an NBA fan.
Yeah.
If you were still living in LA, I'd have a harder time with you jumping on the bandwagon like that. Even though they are objectively more fun to watch than LA.
Well, here's the other thing though too, is I would be watching more Lakers games if I lived in LA, because there's a station where you watch Lakers games in LA. There's a station here, CSN Bay Area, where the Warriors are on every night that they play.
Yeah.
And I love basketball. And so that's the team I watch. And you know, like, it's hard to quantify for people like what the little tick marks are as you're watching a team and starting to fall in love with the players on the team. But like when, you know, Clay dropped like 36 points in a quarter or whatever he did crazy 2 years ago, if you're rooting for that while it's happening, it's so invigorating. Like, I'm having to apologize for enjoying myself as I watch a sport, which is like not a position I've ever had to be in before. And I do understand why people would say like, oh yeah, you're a turncoat or a front runner or whatever. But like, I just can't not root for those guys. Those are like my guys. Like, I watch those guys play constantly. And it's like, I can't just all of a sudden be like, I love Brandon Ingram. He's just my boy. Like, I haven't watched him play enough. And when I have, I just see him get pushed around by big dudes. So, I don't know. It's just...
This is a funny thing, though, because I can relate to it because I had a moment probably 5 years ago at some point in the middle of LeBron's stay in Miami where I shifted from actively hating LeBron. He was the worst. My least enjoyable player in the league was LeBron James. I couldn't stand him. I hated him. And I mocked every little stupid thing that he said and decision that he made and every cramp that he got in the finals and every stupid thing.
He didn't go off in a wheelchair like Paul Pierce, at least.
He didn't. He stopped just short of that. But something tells me if Paul Pierce hadn't done it, he would have done it. He just didn't want to look like he was copying him. But I got to a point where I saw him and how well he was performing and what an unbelievably talented and elite player he was. And I could no longer hate him. And I had I feel like I don't remember the exact game, but it was during one of the final series where I'm like, okay, I'm done hating LeBron. I don't want to not enjoy watching him play because I'm hating him so much. I'm just going to be a guy now who loves to watch LeBron play because he's just such a different player. So I can set that aside and now just enjoy the player. But the thing that was interesting to me as we're talking about it is, like, at the time, I think part of the reason I hated him is because he was a threat to Kobe's crown as the best player in the league and a legitimate threat. And I think on some level I had a problem with that because I love Kobe. But LeBron was never a direct threat to the Lakers because the Lakers were already done by the time he ascended. And they never matched up. But for you, he's now matched up against a team that you
I care about
love.
Deeply, yes.
Yeah. And he hates them and they hate him. And so.
And boy, is it fun. The NBA is great because of it.
and you get to hate him and do hate him much more than I do.
I have to qualify this though, because the thing I wanted to ask you is, yes, I love watching LeBron play. I am astounded by LeBron. I think he's a top 3 player of all time. Maybe the best all-around player of all time. Like, he's a combination of several of my favorite basketball idols like Jordan and Magic Johnson. You even see a little bit of like Karl Malone in there sometimes when he's, doing his turnaround fadeaway.
Right.
But the thing that I can't handle about watching him, and that Bill Simmons has pointed out before being courtside, no player, Bill Simmons says this, and this guy has been going to, NBA games for 30 years. No player in the history of the league complains more to the referees than LeBron James. Now, everybody complains to the refs. I get that. LeBron does it so often that he puts his team at a huge disadvantage all the time when the other team's running a 5-on-4 break because he's still on the other end arguing for a call. So as much as I love what LeBron can do, that is just, I feel like he would be 10% better if he would just play. Because I think it was the end of game 5 of the finals, like, he just straight up shacked everybody. He just kept scoring layups over and over again, just pushing into the Warriors, like, desperately trying to get them back into the game. And he just couldn't do it because the Warriors just have too much firepower. But, like, I feel like he picks his spots, and I think you're right that I think he's a really smart player and one of the best, but I just can't get the pure joy from watching him play that I get from watching, like, the Warriors when they're running on all cylinders. And they're passing the ball 8 times in a possession, so that, Durant passes up a 3 shot and Curry passes up a 3 shot, and then Draymond hits a 3 because he's got the open shot. It's like, right. That's not how LeBron works. LeBron runs the offense and everything, and he does a lot of amazing one-on-one things. He makes his teammates better, obviously. But I can't say that he's more of like the old school hero ball, bully ball, whatever you want to call it. He takes over games in a way that is feels dated in the NBA, and that's a reason to like him and also a reason to not like him, depending on your view.
Sure.
Like, because he plays it the old school way, you know? Like, he would be happier in a half-court set at all times, it seems like to me. He's great on the break, though, by the way. So it doesn't matter. I mean, he's great at everything. I think your stomach for LeBron depends largely on how you see him as off the court versus, like... Because on the court, I mean, he's amazing aside from his ref complaining, but... off the court, he feels like he's this puppet master who's so, you know, contriving things. Like, I love the theory that he and Kyrie are, like, planning this whole thing together, and it's a conspiracy. I don't think it's true, but I love the notion, and that people would think that because LeBron is that way. But then he says things like, oh, I've never been on a super team. And then you just got to be like, all right, dude, just shut up. Like,
yeah,
you lost to a superior team. You're mad, even though they did it completely within the rules of every way. 3 of their quote-unquote superstars, although I don't think anyone called Klay Thompson a superstar, were drafted by the Warriors. Like, it's like people are mad because KD went there. Fine, be mad about that. Like, why did he go there? He went there because he saw a team that it has fun playing basketball and he wanted to play with them. He's taking like a $9 million pay cut to keep going with the Warriors. So
well,
I don't...
And because he wanted to win a championship. I mean, there's no denying that was...
Let me ask you this. Are there any players in the league who don't want to win the championship?
No.
So there you go.
I didn't say that. That doesn't disprove anything that I said. I'm just saying, don't act like all he wanted was to have fun.
Why is it a negative against a player to want to win a championship?
It's not. I was adding to your point. You said he went there because he saw people having fun and he wanted to play with them. He also wanted to win a championship.
Though he wanted to win one in 2012 when OKC made the finals against LeBron and they lost.
Yeah.
I think he's wanted to win all plays. And I also think that OKC is at fault for this a little bit too because of the way that they bungled the Harden deal and because they didn't really put the pieces around him. So it was a lot of ISO ball. It was Westbrook ISO. It was KD ISO. And he saw what the Warriors were doing. He's like, I want a piece of that. Like, yeah, he wanted to win, but... I think part of it was that he wanted to play a different kind of basketball.
We can't put ourselves in his head, but there's no denying everybody in the league can look at it and all the fans look at it and can see that the way the Warriors are playing is the way to win. Number one, be historically good at shooting threes. and number 2, embrace the idea that passing is going to get you open better than dribbling. And
embrace the idea that it doesn't matter how many points you score. Like, if Draymond Green was on any other team, I would hate him. Although if he was on the Lakers, I'd love him too. But the thing is like, he's a guy who sometimes will have a game where he has 12 rebounds and 12 assists and 4 points. And then other games, he'll have 35 points and, 7 rebounds and 2 assists or whatever. Like, the players on the Warriors are all like Swiss Army knives. So they just do what they need to do for that game, Yeah. It's funny. And I have a special soft spot for Steph, but... is that the narrative on Steph now is that he's not as good. There's a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. Without Durant, he led that team to 73 wins and was by far the best player on the Warriors. He averaged 25 points in the finals, something like that. I mean, Durant is amazing, but Steph runs that team, like he's the engine that makes that team go. And then Durant's just the closer monster. So I don't know. I don't hate LeBron. I just think he's disingenuous and he knows it and he kind of likes it. Like, I think he's always lived in a media bubble since he was like a high schooler, and it was known he was the next coming.
Yeah.
So he knows that and he plays it off that way. And how much you like that, I think also determines how much you like him. And by the way, I think there's been a spike in his popularity because he's an underdog now and nobody likes the Warriors. And my thing is, the one way I'm really consistent here is that I always want the best team to win. I never root for the underdog. I don't like underdogs. I like when things work out the way they're supposed to. Like when the 18-0 Patriots lost to the Giants, I hate the Patriots. But I was supremely dissatisfied with that outcome. Because there's no universe in which the Patriots were not the far superior team. The Giants get one lucky game. That's that. I hate those outcomes. I love the outcomes where it's like, this is the best team. They won. Yay. That's fair. Like, because life's not fair. Sports is meritocracy. It's supposed to be fair. But a lot of times it's not. Like, a player will go into a slump and a team will lose. And I just don't like when that happens. And so I do like rooting for the team that is the best. I like looking at the team that I think is, yeah, this is the best team. I hope they win. It was like when the Broncos and the Seahawks played in the Super Bowl. And all my friends were like, oh, the Broncos, historically great offense. I'm like, no, you guys got to look at this. Like, Seahawks have one of the best offenses, but they also have one of the best defenses. They're gonna destroy the Broncos. And then that happened, and I was like, yes, that is the proper outcome of this matchup. Like, I hate when the matchup is like, here's the matchup, improper outcome. But that's good, because I like being surprised at times. But I'm always rooting for, like, the better team to win. I'm never rooting for the crap team to win. Like, I'm never rooting for J.R. Smith to go 9 for 10 from 3 for 4 straight games so that the Warriors lose to the Cavs. Even if I wasn't a Warriors fan, I would go like, what is that statistical anomaly that just decided a championship series? Like, I hate that.
Oh, see, you don't like that? Yeah, we're different.
J.R. Smith, by the way, would be number 1 on our list of people who would rank themselves too high on NBA 2K18 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I disagreed with your answers on Facebook.
I want to say that another reason why you probably have had more of a shifting view of LeBron is that I think you love Kobe a little bit more than I do.
Huh.
I mean, I really like Kobe, but you know who I like better? Pau Gasol. Like those 2 years when the Lakers won the back-to-back championships, Pau was my favorite player on those teams.
Huh.
And the way he acted towards Kobe made me love him so much, because he was just like, Kobe's so difficult to be around, and Pau just took it all. And when Kobe gave, like, his retirement speech, I think something like a retirement speech, and when he talked about Pau, you could tell, like, he loved Pau. Pau was his boy. Like, he was the guy. So,
brothers.
Like, I mean, Kobe is obviously one of my top 10 favorite Lakers, but by the time it was all getting down to the end, I was getting pretty burnt out on him. You know, like, pretty much like, Kobe, dude, just, you got to know when to quit, man. And, like,
what was your experience during his final game?
Oh, it was totally fun. Totally stupid, but totally fun.
Yeah, stupid, elation.
I mean, what did he take, like 60 shots? I mean, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was super fun to watch. It was very, like, it harkened back to the early aughts, watching Shaq and Kobe play together and, like, really rooting for Kobe. But, like, after Shaq left, and Kobe just became lesser in my mind. And I thought for a long time that LeBron was a better player than Kobe, and was going to definitely be a better player than Kobe.
Yeah.
Because Kobe was always so one-dimensional. Amazing scorer. One of the best I've ever seen. But just basically like a slightly lesser version of Jordan, you know? So.
Yeah, right. And an elite defender, too. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Defense is so overlooked.
But not a guy who was facilitating a whole lot.
No. And I mean, he is a shooting guard, so that's fair. Like, I just think that, like, I have a lot more love for, like, Magic.
Yeah.
And even Byron Scott and, like, Coop. Like, the guys I grew up watching, I have more love for than for Kobe.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was more formative. You know, we were in college when Kobe was the man, so.
Yeah.
All
right, so
anyways.
Here was the question. If all the players in the history of the NBA could set their own NBA 2K, what are they called? Rankings? Not rankings,
yeah.
Rankings?
Yeah, they're ratings, skill ratings, whatever.
Skill ratings,
Swaggy P got a 74 and he's all mad. And it's like, I'm like, that's not good news for the Warriors. Because if he thinks he's, like, better, then no, he should just... Swaggy, you're going to have so many open shots on the Warriors. Just take those and don't try to do anything else. Please, please, please.
So if they could set their own numbers, who would be in the top 5 that really, really shouldn't be in the top 5s?
Let me give you a funny answer, and not funny, haha funny, but like an interesting answer. So I reread Bill Simmons' Big Book of Basketball this summer I was telling you about when I was in Hawaii.
Excellent.
Not every paragraph or anything like that, but I skipped through all the fun parts.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Wilt Chamberlain.
That's one that came to mind too.
Even though he's a great NBA player, one of the greatest, one really compelling case that Bill makes throughout that whole book is that Chamberlain only cared about numbers.
Yeah.
And there was one of his former teammates who said that, like, the year that they introduced turnovers as a stat, he thought he was going to try to break the turnover record. like on purpose, like to just so he would have that record.
Yeah.
And that he always like would shrink down in the big moments, but that he always thought he was by far and away the best. Or another guy I was thinking of too, an old school guy, is Rick Barry.
Yeah.
Because everybody talks about how much they hate Rick Barry in that book and how he would rake himself and how he sounded like Kobe. Like when I read that book, I was like, oh, I think Rick Barry and Kobe are cut from the same cloth. Because like horror stories of being his teammate, basically, even though he's one of the best players in the NBA at the time. But that's a little old school for us, but.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you in your first comments, you mentioned Kobe and Iverson, and in my mind, those guys are too talented. Like the disparity between their actual numbers and their imagined numbers wouldn't be as great as with a guy like over the course of his career, like Sean Kemp or J.R. Smith.
Sean Kemp had the talent. I just don't think he had the basketball IQ, as cliche as that sounds.
Well, sure, or probably the work ethic. I mean, he got fat and slow pretty quick.
That's true. Yeah. You see guys like that who don't live up to potential, like Chris Webber's one people always talk about, or Amari Stoudemire. Right. And not that Stoudemire got fat, because he didn't. He just had lots of injuries. But yeah, you're right. But I would say the same thing is probably true about Wilt Chamberlain, right? Because like he would get a 99 rating or whatever, but he'd want like 120. Right. And that's kind of the way I feel about Kobe and Iverson. That they would want like their own special ranking for like what they are, you know, because they don't deserve to be ranked with those other mortal basketball players.
Right.
I'll admit that Steph would belong on that list too, because he's super arrogant.
Yeah, he is.
He's super, super arrogant.
I was just going to put his mouth guard on the list. Not all of Steph, but just his
mouth guard gets a separate ranking. When you put in his mouth guard and start chewing on it, like does your 3-point shooting go up, that skill, or down? I can't tell.
They should sell a Seth's mouth guard amiibo that you can put on your little thing and get bonus points.
The end of game 5 was funny because Steph was just hucking threes up because he wanted an FU three so bad, and a couple of them rolled out. One of them was a drill, but he had to take like 4 of them to really get it because he just wanted to just be like, LeBron, look, here's what we do. We nail threes from 30 feet out, and you lose.
Yeah, you could tell he wanted to do that.
Especially after game 4, when they, Cleveland rained threes down. They shot like 56% from 3-point range in that game.
That was insane.
Anyway, so what other players come to your mind? Like, cause I think like guys like J.R. Smith, like what Bill Simmons calls the irrational confidence guys.
Yeah,
who will
that's
just
exactly
take
what
shots,
we're talking about.
When they don't, or heat check guys, he'll call them sometimes.
Yeah.
Or when they get going, they're good, but then they're not actually as good as they think all the time.
Yeah, I think that Swaggy might belong on that list.
Well, he openly said that he's on that list. He's like, 74 is too low, where the rest of the world is like, 74? Really? That might be a little high.
He's the reason for the list. That's right. The list is named after him.
Yeah, exactly. He's the reason for the season.
Yeah, I don't know who else historically. I mean, I hate Karl Malone. He doesn't belong on this list, but I just want to say I hate Karl Malone.
And John Stockton. I hate both those guys.
Yeah, I hate John Stockton.
That's the old me, though. That's the Laker fan me who's died.
Well, sure. I have a good friend who argues that John Stockton is the greatest player in the history of the NBA because no other player has led the league in 2 of the big 4 categories career ever. And he did it in steals and assists. I hate that friend now. I'm not friends with him anymore because of that argument, but it's an interesting argument.
Yeah. No, he's not the best. He's a top 10 point guard of all time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't begrudge Stockton that. And I would probably say that Malone is a top 10, top 20 forward of all time.
Yeah, you don't want Malone on your team if you're interested in winning a championship.
Well, you definitely don't want him on your team at the tail end of his career on the Lakers trying to hit on Kobe's wife, too. That's another thing you don't want. That was not good. He's not a good teammate for that. I feel like Barkley belongs on this list, even though he was pretty good. He still thinks he was like the greatest player ever, and that he's super underrated just because he didn't win a championship, and that's not it.
Yeah,
he was basically gifted the MVP trophy that one year because people were tired of giving it to Jordan. So there's a lot of revisionist history on Chuck.
Now that you mentioned Barkley, also, I agree with you, and I would say LeVar Ball belongs on the list as well, without question.
Well, because LeVar Ball should be like a 12 on NBA 2K18, and he would want to be like a 90 or something.
He would, exactly, that's right.
Lonzo, though.
I heard Jordan today finally responded.
Yeah, one-legged.
While he was at camp. He said, I could beat him one-legged.
That was a cromulent answer, if I've ever heard one.
Perfectly cromulent, yeah. All right, well, we're an hour and 23 in. I think that for the sake of whoever's going to end up editing this mess, we should probably begin to wind down.
Yeah. So cromulent is a made-up word, I'll just say. It was made up for The Simpsons. And it basically just means okay, good, acceptable. And it was in response to somebody using the word embiggen. And Lisa called that person out saying, hey, that's not a real word. And then Mrs. Krabappel, I think maybe, or one of her teachers or said, no, it's a perfectly cromulent answer, something to that effect. So when you go to the Wikipedia page for that word, you see that it's credited to who did I say it was?
David Simon?
X whatever, yeah, the guy with the X in his middle
David
name,
X. The
writer, made up that word for that episode. So cromulent means cromulent's kind of like A1. Except for not as strong.
It is. No, right. And also, that word has been officially entered into all the important dictionaries, by the way. Cromulent is now a word.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken. Which, just how I would just wish. Like, I'd probably rather have a word that I created become accepted into official lexicon than, like, win an NBA championship, I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I would really like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's more of like an intellectual accomplishment, you know?
Yeah, like if we could somehow get Webster's to accept, what was the word I made up earlier today? The math word.
It's something about
asymptotally.
Asymptotally, yeah. That sounds like a word that Jonathan Colton would make up.
That's very true. Very true. Which is high praise in my book as well. So I appreciate it.
One badass fractal, man.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, so this was fun. If all goes to plan, we will do this again on Sunday, which is...
With Dogsdie, though, too.
5 days from now with the Double D. Yeah. So hopefully we can do that and rain down on everybody once again. Any last words, Yosh?
I apologize for getting so worked up about the Warriors, you know. It's just, I've been a big fan for so long that it's just hard for me to control myself.
It's not his fault. He has what is it? He has a heavy flow and a wide set vagina.
Who, me?
It's not his fault.
That's Anchorman, right?
That's my favorite Mean Girls quote.
Oh, Mean Girls. Oh, sorry. I was like, is that an Anchorman quote or a Mean Girls quote? I can't tell.
Yeah, no.
Tina Fey's pretty funny, so, you know, she writes funny things.
Yeah, it's very funny. This girl gets made fun of, and she's sitting in the crowd, and she gets made fun of for how much she bleeds on her period. And
yep.
It cuts to her, and she goes, it's not my fault I have a heavy flow and a wide set vagina.
Yeah, and now we're like a traditional gamer podcast, dipping into a few like quasi misogynistic comments at the end.
That's what we do.
We've now fulfilled our chauvinist quotient for our gaming podcast.
Oh no! If Tina Fey wrote the quote, there's nothing misogynist about it. It's a very funny quote.
That's so true. Yeah, Tina Fey's never said anything wrong. Right. Well, yeah. This was fun, not for Smelly Pirate though, because he's got to go back to work tomorrow. Sorry, Smelly.
That's true. Tomorrow's the end of my innocence.
Yeah, you and Don Henley.
But that's not for you all to worry about.
Yeah.
So I'll take us out. The Big Red Barrel Boom. I'm Dale, but you have to call me Dragon. You know that's from
Game of Thrones, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the 3 dragons. His name is Dale.
He's like, Drogon. What? No, I'm Dale. Khaleesi, you dumb.
No, it's from Step Brothers, a movie that I haven't watched enough, but it's
obviously I haven't either. I mean, I'll get like the Catalina wine mixer references and the do we just become best friends, and my nutsack is on a drum set. I can get those jokes, but yeah, that's a little too much of a deep dive for me to get that one.
Oh, I love that movie. I'm gonna go watch it tomorrow on the way to work.
And then at work in your office.
Correct. Yes.
All right. See you guys later.
Good night.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.